Here I'm cutting the legs for the table. I'm cutting all 4 of them at 20 inches high. The table is 32 by 32. And now I'm going to mill all 4 legs up on the joiner, and I'm going to make 2 passes on each side. Here my dust collection was filled, so I had to pull it out and empty out the canister. Now that that's cleaned out, I can start sanding the legs down with 220 grit sandpaper. And here I'm cutting for the tabletop. I'm going to cut all my pieces to size. Once I'm done that, I'm going to sand all my pieces down on both sides with 220 grit sandpaper. Now that I have all that sanded, I'm going to figure out my orientation, and then I'm going to flip the boards upside down, and I'm going to make my marks for my biscuit joints. And I will be using number 20s. And for the end grains, I'm going to use dominoes. And these are the end caps. Now I'm doing my glue up, and I'm going to start with the number 20s first. And once I get all those glued up, then I'll do the end caps with the dominoes. And the reason why I'm using the dominoes for the end caps, the end grains, is because it's stronger. The biscuits are just to align the boards up, where the dominoes are a lot stronger. Cleaning any excess glue, and now I'm going to do the dominoes. Now that I have everything clamped up, it's going to sit like this overnight. Now I'm going to start on the rails, and I'm going to cut these to length. And then I'm going to rip them down to 5 1/4 inches. Now I'm going to cut my dominoes in, and I'm going to put 2 dominoes on each side, and I'll do that to all 4 pieces. And here I am marking out the dominoes on the legs. Now I'm taking the clamps off the top. And give the whole top a sand down. Here I'm sanding all the legs. Getting all the pencil marks out and whatnot. And here I'm going to edge band all the rails on the top and bottom. And what I do is I just use an iron, then I trim it with the trimmer, then I'll take a file and clean the edges up a little bit, and I will sand it with sandpaper at a 5-degree bevel on the edges. And the edge banding I'm using here is birch. I'm going to start to glue all the biscuits into the legs and start gluing the rails to the legs as well and clamp everything up. And I'm cleaning out any glue squeeze out as I go. Now I will clamp this up, and this will sit overnight to dry. Now that it's sat overnight, I'm going to take the clamps off and I'm going to start working on the bottom. Here I cut a sheet of plywood out and I'm marking out for the legs, and I'm going to cut all 4 notches out on all the corners. I'm going to drill some pilot holes, and then I'm going to screw it down with 1¼ screws. And I will put 3 per side. Now I'm scraping any kind of glue squeeze out on the back side of the tabletop, and I will sand it down. And I will be using 220 grit sandpaper. Now I'm going to start to mark out for the hinges. Now the hinges on this tabletop, the customer wanted it on top, so you can actually see the hinges on top of the table. And then I'm going to screw them in with 5/8 screws. Now I'm going to start to mark out the dominoes on the table, and I'm going to glue the one side down. But I will do that glue up after I stain. It'd make it a lot easier. And I'm using a total of 5 dominoes to glue the one side down. Now for the stain, I took 2 different kinds of stain and mixed them together, and I went one part. And the stain I used for this was red mahogany and colonial maple. And it turned out to be a really nice color. Now I'm going to stain the tabletop. And I will let this sit overnight, and then mount that other half side the next day. Here I'm gluing in the dominoes. And once I get this top half glued down, I will clamp it down and leave it for about 4 or 5 hours. Now that the glue up is done, I'm going to put a sand and sealer on. And then about 20 minutes after I spray it, I will sand it down. And I will start to spray 3 coats of the pre-cat lacquer. Now here I'm spraying my pre-cat lacquer, and I'll be putting 3 coats, a coat every 15-20 minutes. Now I'm going to mount the other half of the tabletop and secure the hinges in place with the 5/8 screws. And this is the finished product. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and smash the like button. Thanks for watching.